I didn't plan this video. I didn't outline it. I didn't storyboard it. I didn't even decide what this video was supposed to be about in the traditional sense. This entire video exists because I wanted to see how far I could go without caring. No polish, no taste, no intervention. I gave AI the controls and decided not to grab the wheel when it drifted into oncoming traffic. And if you're being honest with yourself, you've already seen videos like this. You just didn't know they were made this way. They look fine, they sound fine, they don't say anything obviously wrong, but they also don't say anything meaningful either. They exist in this strange middle ground where nothing is offensive, nothing is interesting, and nothing actually matters. Yet people still watch them. That's the part that bothers me. Or maybe it's the part that fascinates me. Because YouTube doesn't reward quality. It rewards endurance. If something keeps playing, it wins. So the question isn't, is this good? The question is this good enough to not be turned off? And AI is very good at good enough. This script you're listening to right now wasn't lovingly crafted. It wasn't refined. It was generated, lightly nudged, and then left alone. That's not a mistake. That's the experiment. Because boredom is tolerated online now. But we sit through things we feel nothing about. We scroll past things we hate. That's dangerous. Over the last year, YouTube has quietly filled up with channels that don't feel human. No face, no personality. And yet some of these channels are pulling thousands, sometimes millions of views. Not because they're good, but because they're consistent. They upload every day, sometimes multiple times a day. They never get tired. They never get embarrassed. They never think this isn't worth uploading. So I wanted to see what happens if I stop pretending I'm above that. They just keep going. What happens if I deliberately aim lower? What happens if I let the machine talk, ramble, stall, repeat itself, and occasionally say something that sounds smart without actually being smart? For example, and I'm going to do this deliberately, let us ask AI to do something it famously struggles with. A complex sum, nothing insane. Nothing PhD level. Just something awkward enough that it might mess it up. Let's say this. If a train leaves London at 9:17 a.m., traveling at 87 miles per hour, and another train leaves Manchester at 9:42 a.m., traveling at 92 miles per hour toward the same destination. Factoring in a 10-minute delay caused by signal issues and assuming neither train stops for coffee, how long until they meet? Now, that probably sounded impressive. It probably sounded like a real math problem. But half of you already know the answer. Doesn't matter. What matters is whether the AI sounds confident while getting it wrong. Because confidence is doing a lot of heavy lifting online right now. AI will usually respond to something like that by confidently walking you through a solution that feels logical, uses correct terminology, and then lands on an answer that is either slightly off or completely wrong, and most people won't notice. They'll nod along. They'll assume it's correct. They'll move on. That's not intelligence. That's vibes. And vibes are enough. Which raises a slightly uncomfortable question. If most people can't tell when something is wrong, and the algorithm doesn't care if something is right, then what exactly are we optimizing for anymore? Because this exact video, doesn't need to exist. It doesn't solve a problem. It doesn't teach you a skill. It doesn't even entertain you in a traditional sense. It just fills time. And time is the currency now. That's why you'll see videos titled things like, "Listen to this while you work," or "Put this on in the background." They're not meant to be watched. They're meant to occupy. AI is perfect for that. It doesn't care if you half listen. Doesn't care if you walk away. It doesn't care if you fall asleep. It will just keep talking. Somewhere right now, an AI is generating a video explaining something it doesn't understand to an audience that doesn't care, and it will still outperform videos made with actual effort. That's not even a joke anymore. That's the system. And what's strange is that none of this feels like a failure. It feels intentional. Platforms want volume. Creators want speed. Viewers want something, anything to put on. So quality gets quietly negotiated downwards, not destroyed, just diluted. Which is why I'm not editing this. I'm not tightening the pacing. I'm not cutting repetitions. I'm not removing the parts where this starts to feel circular. Because that's the point. This video is a stress test. How long will you stay? How much nothing will you tolerate? And more importantly, will the algorithm push this anyway? Because if it does, then the conclusion is uncomfortable but obvious. Effort is optional. Or at least, excessive effort is. That doesn't mean creativity is dead. It means creativity is no longer required to succeed. Which are two very different things. If this video does well, it won't be because it's good. It'll be because it's acceptable. Acceptable length, acceptable pacing, acceptable clarity. And that should worry anyone who actually cares about making things. But if you're honest, truly honest, you already knew this. You've watched videos longer than this, that said, less. You've listened to podcasts where nothing happened for an hour. You've scrolled endlessly through content that left no mark whatsoever. And you didn't stop. Because stopping takes effort too. Over the next few days, I'm going to keep pushing this. Less thought, less interference, worse prompts. I want to see where the actual floor is. Not the theoretical one people argue about. The real one the algorithm accepts. Next time, I might let AI decide the topic entirely. Or ask it to explain something complex it clearly doesn't understand. Or have it summarize its own mistakes. And yes, I'll probably ask it to do more maths. So if you noticed something wrong in that example earlier, the answer didn't sit right? If you caught an error or a shortcut, let me know in the comments how bad it was. Not because I care about fixing it, but because I want to see how many people actually noticed. Because that number tells us something far more important than whether the answer was correct. It tells us how much the bar has moved, whether anyone is still looking down to see where it is. I'll try something worse tomorrow.